So we started talking about sort of the importance of framing policies and how we advocated for research. So, the main thing that we discussed was sort of why is it somehow different to some folks that data preservation and long-term data preservation is different somehow than software preservation, even though they're both kind of two sides of the same coin. And so we really have to think about sort of the lens that we're applying. So what policies might we need? We need researcher policies, organizational policies. Do these policies cover the software that's created or used? What about critical and core software? But yeah, we talked about sort of how it can be tricky to kind of get traction for supporting software when data is kind of seen as sort of the prime output, and how best to sort of advocate for policies that also support the software.
Okay, cool. I'll have to pause you there. Excellent. Okay. Does anybody want to make any follow-up statement? Just a simple statement? No? Okay, then we'll go on to Team Fig. This was the what is the software preservation network, and you should get involved, and what are the benefits? Okay.
I can report back unless any of my new friends would like to report back. I've done a lot of talking today, I feel like.
Go for it.
Sure, I can just say that, yeah, we just talked about the Software Preservation Network, who can join. Any organization interested in software preservation can join. There's information on our website. I can share in chat, like the page that you can go to if you're interested in your organization joining. The folks in the room had various levels of previous knowledge on preservation, the preservation angle for software. So we talked a lot about why it's important to kind of build and maintain software with a preservation mindset so that it can be preserved into the future, and how we might be able to network with other communities, additional communities of developers that might need to hear about that. I think that's all I'll say. Anyone that was in the room, please add anything if I missed something that caught your ear.
Okay, excellent.
I guess you cover everything we discussed. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, there was one person in Team Jujubi. What skills are needed to work on digital software side of cultural heritage? I don't know if that turned into a bigger team. If not, then we'll go on to Team Lemon. I understand Team Lemon and Nectarine kind of merged. I'm not sure what you'd get if you merged a lemon and nectarine, but I'm sure it'd be nice. Would you like, I'm happy to have 2 report backs. Would Team Lemon like to report back? And then Team Nectarine, or do you want to do something combined?
Well, I can say something, I suppose. I was in Team Nectarine, and we started off our discussion pretty soon, realized that the heritage perspective. So our question was, what is specific to a cultural heritage around software preservation? But then, of course, you wonder specific as in relation to what. In this context, it makes most sense to relate that to research software. So we realized we needed a little bit more input from that field. Yeah, pretty soon we also discussed that in cultural heritage, it's quite difficult actually to pin cultural heritage and software preservation down, because it makes a big difference whether you're working with an artwork that is a case-by-case approach, and you can make specific changes in working together with an artist, as opposed to, for instance, software that is archived because it's preconditional to open a certain file format that's kept in the archive, or because it's media and you want to archive computer games in bulk. It's a very different approach. So there's already a lot of diversity within in the field of cultural heritage. So then we were joined by some other people from more the research software side of things that were missing us. And we talked about some additional differences. I guess part of what came up was that maybe artists are mostly concerned about making software work for an exhibition that's taking place today, and they leave the problem of longevity up to the museum. And in research software, there's a similar thing happening where postdocs might create software to do a current experiment, but then leave it to the next postdoc to preserve it or to reproduce it or whatever else. Does anyone else want to take over and talk a little bit about some of the other things we discussed?
Yeah, maybe I thought, and now I don't have the right name. Let me just, I think the point that Moran did about lowering the bar for preservation was, to me, it struck a chord because it's true for everybody, right? I mean, we sort of take on a lot of work that we do, and we avoid asking artists for more than absolutely necessary because it's their time and their costs, and just finding ways of making things easier for preservation was a good point. How that looks like, I have no idea.
Okay, excellent. Any other comments from Lemon and Nectarine? Okay, on to Team Quince. This was, what roles should galleries, libraries, and archives and museums play in software preservation?
I think I'll say a few words then. I wasn't there for the whole discussion, but I feel that in different libraries or GLAM institutions, the levels or the skill levels are very different. We had Ewan Cochrane, co-PI of the EASY project, who is very vocal, as he said so himself, about what is necessary for software preservation. And the other participants were more, were less involved in their thinking about what is necessary. So we agreed that we need more money and skills to learn how to preserve software, that we need to work together in projects like EASY, because individual institutions will probably not have the means to do everything necessary for software preservation. And I think those are the most important, the core observations.
Excellent, thank you. Any other comments on that? Okay, go to Team Ugly. The name of the fruit, not the name of the team.
If you say so. We hit a few points and wrote a nice document. I'm going to read the last two paragraphs because they were two somewhat non-obvious points that we wanted to raise, which was some packages have got strange or restrictive licenses that make things worse from a general sustainability perspective. Things like restrictions on benchmarking or what institutes are allowed to use them. But this potentially is not a heritage issue if we're looking at appropriate legal exemptions for archiving services being able to reproduce things at all. If you're exempt from copyright, then you get to skip a lot of the license restrictions.
Okay.
And the second thing was that where there could be a heritage issue is where we have contaminated code bases. So specifically, example was if some license restricted material was introduced accidentally into a Git history, then the project will need to clean up that code base to make it suitable for distribution under the terms they're allowed to do that. You lose heritage information here because you've lost some of the project history.
Okay.
There's lots more in the document that people want to see it, but those are the 2 points to.
Yeah. We didn't, emphasize making a blog post or anything like that, but, we're hoping to use the material for, a blog post can be made from the material, and we're free to, we can publish that. But it'll help inform the report. Okay,